Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about The Founder. This is a movie that technically came out last year. It went wide this year, but it's officially a 2016 film. And it hit all the festivals and then I think had a small release last year. And it stars Michael Keaton as the founder, sort of.
Batman? Batman, you say?
Of Batman Incorporated, yes. No, of McDonald's. And this is a movie that I was really, really excited about when I saw previews for it. There was a lot
really
of
good
Oscar bait talk and stuff. And Michael Keaton has just been picking a lot of really good projects lately. He was been nailing stuff. Like or hate Birdman, he is just genius in that movie.
And I think he got snubbed an Oscar for that. I don't think he won it.
I wasn't sure if he was even up for.
I think he got nominated and he didn't win.
But the movie won Best Picture.
Yeah.
So at least he's got that under his belt. But you know, not that. Yeah, I didn't remember if he even got nominated. I didn't actually watch the Oscars that year.
I didn't either, but I usually check in the next day.
But anyway, yeah.
Or then get angry.
So I guess we'll just jump straight into it. I don't know that we even need all that much of a synopsis of this.
Yeah, we don't have a board. As if you watched the last video we did, one of the boards is being used to count things for Marvel Mania. I feel like we felt pretty similarly about the film. I don't know if we need a big board, a big surprise reveal.
I mean, I almost wanted to say this movie made us feel like eating at McDonald's, which I think it did. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's the intent of the film. But
no,
boy,
but that's
really
any movie
hard.
About food.
That's not trying to make the food, like, look gross. Or, like, it certainly doesn't do anything to, like, go against the product.
Yeah.
Or anything. In fact, I think quite the opposite. I mean, obviously, if you haven't seen the movie, it's not there to like sell McDonald's. It's not even really the McDonald's movie. Far from it. Mm-hmm. But I think part of the point of it is that the product really was that good, and that's part of why it became the phenomenon that it
did.
The
system.
Yeah.
The system's the big selling point. Which is interesting because
if he had bitten into the hamburger and didn't like it, this would have never happened.
But
according to
I think it's interesting that the system is the thing that sells. Mm-hmm. Like I never think of something like that. Like it is that fast food process that he's like, wait, you can take this everywhere.
I don't know just how much of that was apparently McDonald's. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's in wrappers. Mm-hmm. As opposed to having to deal with silverware and throwing away plates and things.
The fact that the scene where he first gets the burger is really confused by where's the plates, where's the forks, like...
You mean he's confused?
Yeah, he's confused, and then he sits down on the bench and he's trying to figure out like where to put his drink, and where to put the bag, and like everything that no one's ever experienced in the past 50 years because we all know how McDonald's works. Mm-hmm. I never thought about that.
I loved that, and I was already like really interested. But that's the scene where I was quite hooked. Mm-hmm. When he's like an alien on another planet. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. I was in California not too long ago. That trip I took to Paramorphicon and I saw Lo, and she took me to a popular chain there that still does the outdoor drive-in thing, and I'd never been to a place like that, and I experienced a kind of what he did with that. This kind of like if it felt kind of alien, And that place was a lot different. Like they bring the food out to you and stuff. Mm. But it was kind of interesting that like it starts in California and the drive-in thing was already a phenomenon.
Yeah, which makes sense that the drive-in thing would be a 50s phenomenon. Yeah. and all of that.
Well, of course, Sonic continues to harken back to that, but it's kind of the only one like that we have.
That's a big chain.
Yeah. At least where you drive up and you order it at the at Speakers. But McDonald's was you walk up to the counter.
And that was a thing where like people were confused by that?
Yeah. Where you're not supposed to.
They're trying to like get people out of the cars. Like, no, come up to the window.
Yeah, because it seems less convenient. Mm-hmm. But it's actually more convenient because you get your food faster. Mm-hmm. And there's all that talk about having to sit around and wait for it and stuff. But anyway, now we're just kind of talking about scenes. Be like, Eric, this movie's genius.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Start to finish. We had a couple of little qualms we talked about right at the end, and I don't even know if I want to say qualms so much as just questions.
There's a couple of things...
Not even a story things and stuff. Mostly it's just how much time actually passes in this movie.
There's a timeline thing, and I also feel like there's a small part where it drags a little bit, but it's...
Where do you think that happens? Without giving too much away.
It's the time... There's a point where he starts being really successful, and then I feel like we spend too much time there before there's the next plot point, which is his house is getting foreclosed on. Like, I just feel like we spend a little bit too much time in between it's taking off and you're in trouble. I don't know. And that's a problem, I don't know, with a lot of... there were
I didn't think of that, but...
There were certain things with this that are very... just biopic-y things, where not a bad thing, but it's a shortcoming of a lot of biopics of... We get real montage-y as the film goes on. We spend a lot of time setting up the premise.
That becomes really problematic in trying to like tell a real story with a big beginning, middle, and end, and not getting too bogged down by biographical information. Where when we talk about someone's life story, we don't mean the same thing as we do a story. You know what I mean? Where there's an occasion for story, there's a break in status quo, and then someone wants something, and there's a conflict, and this is a story and not just someone's life story. Certainly, but there are places where I could see someone thinking it gets bogged down a little bit with that. I didn't have that.
I guess if I had any real complaint with the movie,
you know, actually, I would even take up for it with that. I don't think it drags. I think it's trying to build suspense a little bit in having us live with him for a while we think he is as successful as he is, and then we all find out that the other shoe is dropped. I think that's maybe the point of that if it's dragging at all. But again, I didn't experience that, so I don't know.
If I had any actual complaint with the film, because I thought the pacing was a little off, but I wasn't bored.
Yeah.
I was just like, I kind of want to get to the next plot point, but if I had any actual complaint, it is, I feel like the stuff with his wife, I know why it's there thematically, because it gets us to this point of, like, driving the point home that he has become a bad person over the course of the film. I didn't think we spent enough time with her.
I liked how little time we spent with her.
Oh, really?
I think that's actually really important.
Okay.
Partly because of the way husbands and wives tended to be in the 50s. The point is, he's never there. How could we have possibly spent any more time with her than we did? He's never at home.
That's true.
That's the whole point. And like, I like that he refuses to talk about anything with her. That he's given opportunities to make her a part of his business. That there's a moment where you have a sense that she might actually have a little bit of business acumen and could be of use to him, and he doesn't take advantage of that. You got that wonderful bit where he's talking about the couple that he set up the franchise for. That's a unit. And that's a team, and she is lying there baffled, dumbfounded, and almost laughing at him that he's not realizing the comparison that she's making in her brain to how they are not that. And every time she's on screen, it's really important.
Well, I read that scene differently. I read that scene as him trying to sell that to her because he kept saying that she never supports him, kind of a thing.
He's not talking about her not supporting him in that particular scene. It's just like he's not connecting the dots and realizing how that connects to them.
Okay.
Was what I thought that scene was.
The one scene I really like,
because she actually is trying to be supportive.
She's at the dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
I really like the scene where he comes home and she's like, she's trying to help, and he's like, we're way past this now.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is no longer important. There is a lot of miscommunication. I don't know. I wish she was in the film more. I get that she's not in the film, I guess, because he's not with her, but I needed more of her. I don't know.
But why? Like is she not a fully developed character for you because of that? Because I felt like I got a really good sense of her with as little on screen as she was.
Maybe a little bit.
Like we're with him through almost the entire movie. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how we possibly could have got her in this movie any more than we did.
Yeah,
if he's at home any more than he is,
well, and we don't cut back to the McDonald's brothers anytime other than like when they're talking to him.
Almost always when they're on the phone with him. I think there are a couple of places where they hang up and then we're still with them.
Yeah,
for a bit.
yeah, but it's always an in from him.
But you could make the argument that it is somewhat their story too. I feel like there is a character arc there also, and that's really well handled.
They're both great.
Yeah, let me throw out what I think because I think this is a nigh perfect movie, at least first time out, and definitely I'm thinking we'll probably end up ranking, not that I've seen a ton of these, but as one of my favorite biopics of all time.
Probably.
I don't know if it is the best. There are a couple other things that I love maybe as much as this, but anyway. I think the best scene in the movie is, and at least the scene I was most entertained by, is when the brothers are explaining their story with how McDonald's.
That was a really good scene.
It's so well put together.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the chalk. And
them talking over each other, and the one, and he's like, you tell the story, you tell it best, and he goes, well, and then he just keeps talking. Because I really like that.
They make us love them, and we need to love them because their story is a tragic one, and you can completely understand how they got into that mess. And I just thought of this: they are they are really smart businessmen, and they get hoodwinked by this guy, whose name is Croc, and I can't believe that. You mentioned that to me earlier. This story about writes itself. Like this is one of the stories where it's like, oh no, you can name people like that because it happens in real life. There's this really interesting identity question sometimes with did he become more of this kind of person because of what his last name was?
Well, and there's such a because there's a point throughout this movie, like from a point forward, I'm like, there's a contract. Like, why don't they just do something? And then they wait until they tell you, the audience, this is why they can't do anything. And I'm like, oh, right. It's because the legal system makes no sense, and there's nothing that can be done at that point. Once it escalates to this point.
It is flawed. And this is very much about how that system is flawed and how easy it could be for someone like this to take advantage of in the right circumstances. He is the ultimate opportunist. He's
a huckster.
Yeah, but he doesn't fully start out that way. At least in this film. And as I always do with biopics, I want to keep this entirely in what happens in this movie. I've not done any research. I don't know what the real history is versus this.
This is a success changing a man kind of a story.
It certainly feels like. If I read that this is more or less how it actually happened, I wouldn't be surprised. Which is a real testament to it because it's not making him a person that I absolutely hate. He's not. He becomes a more and more abhorrent person as the thing goes along. It's I bring this up a lot, but it's almost a Walter White scenario with less like actual breaking the law, but like. It's not trying to make him seem way worse than he was or way better than he was. It kind of, or at least that's what it feels like.
Well, and there's a scene early on that I think sets up what he's going to do throughout the whole film, where she's like, "Isn't it ever going to be enough?" And he goes, "No, it'll never be enough." He has endless ambition. There's never going to be a point where he's like, and I've done enough. I have accomplished. He doesn't have goals. He just wants to keep getting bigger.
And what I love is that he is, in a lot of ways, and this sounds kind of cynical, but he is like the consummate American success story in that he gets everything he ever wanted, but at what cost? And I mean, I hate to give away the ending of the movie or anything.
Well, it seems like at no cost.
That's not by the final scene, which is what I love about it. The cost is internal. It's not.
It's his soul. It's not.
But like that could have felt like he didn't get enough of what he deserved, and yet again, it is going on history, and he didn't. But also. Like there's a real statement there about and I don't feel like it's preachy about it, but there's a statement there about the society we live in, and that the good guy doesn't always win.
Oh, absolutely.
And that
this movie is a tragedy.
Nice guys can finish last,
and it is a tragedy from the perspective of the villain.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of films, most of them Scorsese films, where we do a kind of biopic-y thing, and we pick someone who's not a good guy. Mm-hmm. Wolf of Wall Street's like this, Goodfellas is like this, and there's a certain amount of glee that those films take in the decadence of their life. And this film doesn't have that. Mm-mm. But it also doesn't make him completely unlikable. Part of that's Michael Keaton, but
yeah,
he's
just the perfect person.
Yeah, and
to play this role.
I mean, by the end of it, you don't like him, but they do a really good job of. This is a movie about a deplorable person who doesn't necessarily start that way, and
he is dictionary definition of a sympathetic protagonist. Mm-hmm. You not only know how he got, you don't have to like a sympathetic protagonist. Mm-hmm. You have to understand how they got the way they got, and mm-hmm. and believe that they are still a human being, or that they at one time were a human being. Mm-hmm. And not only do I buy that, but of course I see it happen throughout the course of the film. When he starts setting up the franchises, he legitimately likes the business, believes in the business. When he's talking about the family thing, or at least it sure feels like it. Maybe he's already far gone enough because of his ambition that he doesn't actually know the difference.
I think when he gets to the family thing, because that's cut across 3 scenes against 3 different groups. I think by the time
this is a guy who doesn't care about family for himself, mm-hmm. which is important. But like when the bit with the sucker, like I believed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It's a really.
Michael Keaton plays these like really uptight, kind of like boiling, waiting for the boiling point kind of characters, and like I say, he's just perfect for this. I really, and again, hopefully this isn't giving too much away. Michael Keaton, usually in a role like this, would throw things. I don't think he ever throws anything in this movie. I was waiting for him.
He never gets angry
to lose it. He
doesn't have his angry Michael Keaton moment.
He hangs up on people, but I think. But you're right. He never like straight up starts screaming at people. Mm-hmm. He's always really tactical about it. That makes him scarier, because that guy clearly has that in him, and it's always bubbling up. Again, forgetting whatever actually happened, if we would even know this. You could have played the scene. There's a particular scene with his wife that you could have played for drama, and he could have just lost it, and he doesn't. And it's a much more effective scene because that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. I think everyone should see this movie.
I agree.
I can't think of any kind of person I wouldn't recommend this to.
And
at least adults.
I think kids could watch. I think it'd be bored.
I'm not saying it's bad for kids. I'm just saying like I wouldn't recommend it to kids.
But what I think is really important is that it's a film about a not great historical person, and it is PG-13.
Yeah,
and it goes everywhere it needs to go thematically. It's as dark as it needs to be. It never feels like it's missing anything because it's not R. And I feel like our tendency is to go. If you're telling a tragic or darker story that's a real life story, you always go R. And it doesn't feel like this is commercialized because it's PG-13.
You're right, and it might have felt the need to go gratuitous,
especially with what happens with
violence and stuff, and it doesn't do that.
Especially with what happens with. I
say violence
with Night Owl and stuff.
There's no violence in this film.
Yeah, there's no violence in this film.
But that's interesting, right? Like you hardly ever get into a movie like this where somebody doesn't throw one punch. Like it never happens.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting how much happens like over the phone and stuff. Like I think. A lot of scenes that would end in fights in a traditional movie like this can't because they're hundreds of miles away from each other.
And that's how business works.
Oh, and that's something that I found so interesting of just, like, when at the very beginning when he pitches the idea of franchising, like, there's no way to keep quality control.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because there's no way to... Everything is so much further away in the 50s or in the 40s
than it feels like it is.
Yeah.
Well, no, it is the 50s.
It's the 50s, yeah.
Yeah, 54.
Yeah, I flipped it in my brain and made it 45, yeah.
Yeah, Croc dies the year I was born.
Oh. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. I did, because I know when I was born. But it says 85, 84 at the end. Couple more quick things we should mention. This is a... Like when we get to moments of levity, and there are many of them, it is a really quippy, like fast kind of humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like sometimes it would be a joke would be told, beat, and then we laughed.
Yeah.
Things like that, where it's like, it's sunk in. No, I really like the sense of humor of this film.
And it's a really smart business movie.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn a little bit about how business works.
Unfortunately,
yeah, well,
in some cases.
But the nice thing is, like, legitimate business and like skeezy behind the scenes business, like all at the same time. I mean, I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about that. This will bookend this a little bit, but when we were talking about like the place where he where like he really screws the brothers, he makes sure to wait until you were saying, you know, they could have just sued him earlier, but they were too nice of guys. He doesn't actually do anything against the contract until
he knows he can.
Yeah, and like until he's built up enough to where they couldn't possibly touch him.
Yep.
Because the whole point is, yeah, he's doing things that are completely illegal, and they would win the case, but they can't afford to even take him to court.
Yep. We would be remiss without mentioning this is a wonderful cast. I don't think there's a single weak link in it. Even somewhat minor characters
have a presence and feel necessary.
Yeah, and they fill them with actors
or memorable, I should say,
that do a really good job in what they're given. Like Night Owl's not in a lot, but he's really good in the scenes he's in.
I feel real bad for that guy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, you know what made me feel worse for him than anything else in this movie? That he runs a steakhouse and he gets into the McDonald's business and we see him in like the McDonald's outfit. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, you've fallen, you don't even know.
I felt more bad about the obvious thing, but
yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the obvious. And his wife is Linda Cardellini, who I love in everything I've ever seen her in.
Yeah,
well,
she's great in this.
I mean, she was in the Scooby-Doo movies, but those weren't her fault.
And she's got that $1 million smile that...
Yeah. The woman that plays his wife is great. The two guys.
She was in Jurassic Park, and I spent the entire movie. She's she's the main lady in Jurassic Park, and I spent the whole movie trying to figure out who she was because I kept going to superhero places in my brain, and she kept reminding me too much of Annette O'Toole. Anyway,
the McDonald's brothers. One of them.
I knew it wasn't Annette O'Toole, but then that's all the only place my brain went.
One of them is Nick Offerman, who I like a lot and have seen quite a bit of, and I've seen his stand-up, and he's just a guy I really like.
Those guys felt like real brothers. Like
they felt like real brothers, and both of those are guys I know for comedy, and they were exactly the right choices for that.
Yeah, because they get a lot of comedy to do in this. But they all, and you know, the thing Joss Whedon always says, like comedy is hard, drama is easy. Like, well, they nail the comedy, and then they just kill at the drama.
Yeah, because making them funny makes them likable, so when things go wrong for them, it hurts even more.
There's a scene at the, in a bathroom toward the end that is brilliant, and I know we keep using that word, but it is, and Michael Keaton has a fantastic speech in that scene, but the guy on the other end, what he does is just as important and just as just as amazing.
It's a great film. It's probably one of my favorite biopics I've seen. And
the nice thing is, it's also, I think, probably a pretty rewatchable biopic. Like, it's not one where I go, okay, it's brilliant, but I don't have any interest in never going back to it. Like,
and it's also a movie I want to recommend to everyone see. Like people I know.
It to people. Yeah. Oh, you know, the movie I was thinking of earlier, I don't know if I can put it over Man of the Moon. For biopics.
Maybe not.
Like, I want to say that right now this is my favorite biopic of all time. It's, like, I think it's skirting over Ray a little bit. I love Ray. I think it's skirting over that a little bit. But it's neck and neck with Man of the Moon.
Yeah, I'd have to watch this a couple more times. I've seen Man of the Moon a couple of times now.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
I will buy this as soon as it comes out. I have to have a copy of this film.
Yeah, it's great, and I want to show it to her. Like I want to call my mom and be like, "Hey, mom, you need to see this movie when it comes out on DVD." Everyone needs to see this movie. It's really good.
My dad's been in the restaurant business for 35 years.
Oh yeah, you leaned over me 10 minutes in the movie, and you're like, "We should have taken my dad."
10 minutes in, I was like, "I wish we had brought my dad." So we're going to have to make sure and show it to him at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it. And this is the second of what will probably turn out to be 5 How We Felt About this week. Legion.
Oh,
because that comes out this Thursday. Right. So like, we have all these things to cover. So anyway.
Boy, could I not care about that.
Well, you don't have to necessarily watch it.
I might watch it, but boy, do I not care about that. It could be secretly good. I find that unlikely.
We still have Lego Batman. We still have John Wick 2. So we
Chapter 2.
Oh, that's nice. I'm glad that they called it that. because I don't know, names and sequel numbers often don't sound that good to me. But
yeah, I agree. That's
neither here nor there. Thanks for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it, and we'll see you again with lots more videos here this week. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you next time.